This is the meeting after the meeting. None of our participants get paid, and we don't speak for Alcoholics Anonymous. Enjoy the show. We gotta... You know, we mean tonight? We mean business tonight.
This is
business.
all right. I need this
I feel
tonight.
empowered tonight. I feel like focused, ready to go. You remember that movie with with Bradley Cooper? Was it Bradley Cooper where he took that pill, Limitless?
Limitless.
Was that Bradley Cooper?
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a great movie.
Yeah.
I feel limitless.
Really?
Yeah.
Just from this beat?
Just from this beat. I'm a simple man. I'm simple.
I'm not with you on that, man. I mean, I like it. It's just.
I know you're not. That's why.
You know.
That's why we're here, Chris.
But I'm starting at a serious deficit today.
How's it going?
Dude,
Been a long day.
It's been a long day, and it's cold out. What happened to summer, man? I thought we were sliding into spring, and then it's like 50 degrees outside.
It's not looking very promising either. So I mean, this weekend looks like it's going to warm up, but it's not. It's definitely not.
That's why I hate the fucking DMV. One day it's 80, the next day it's 30.
It's true. It was hailing earlier today.
That's bullshit.
It was hailing.
I don't get it.
Gabe, how are you?
I'm doing all right.
Yeah?
I've had better days. I've had worse days.
All right. Good. How was your week?
I've been a little under the weather, so it's been a little tough, but
Yeah.
my girlfriend brought me some cough drops that Chris then took and insulted.
That's so sweet. Your girlfriend brought you some cough drops.
Yeah, she did. She's very
I appreciate
sweet.
that.
Chris,
I'm glad she brought them so I could eat them.
And now, we'll make sure to thank her from Chris.
Yeah, thank her for me.
Oh, sweet.
I'll just send her a clip of the podcast.
There you go.
Next time I would prefer Halls.
I'll let her know.
Let her know.
Let's get into it. This is the meeting after the meeting. I'm John.
I'm Chris.
Welcome to episode 12. There's not many numbers in AA that are, I think, as important as number 12. It's in the 12 steps. So
It's pretty important.
We are through into the 12th episode. The Meeting After the Meeting is a podcast that is recorded live on Zoom. If you're with us on Zoom tonight, thank you for joining us. We love having you. We love the feedback. The recordings.
Some of the feedback we love.
Some of the feedback, yes. We got some interesting feedback yesterday from one of our regular listeners.
Yeah.
That we're trying to fix tonight. Hopefully it was fixed.
Yeah. I think we're good.
We put the recordings out on all major podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, and wherever else. I think Google and other places.
Yeah. Everything's on the link tree.
So Linktree, which is
TMATM Live.
TMATM Live. What else do we have on at TMATM
We've got
Live?
some social media that nobody follows us on.
No, we're coming up on 100 on Instagram. I think we got.
Not even. We're
are
creeping up to 80.
I think we're at 80. I think we passed 80.
Yeah.
At least I looked today, and we were
strong.
strong.
That's not bad.
TikTok. How many we have on TikTok?
9
followers on TikTok.
But if you see our post, you would see why.
It's not
Just pictures.
It's not. I mean,
they're well done. They're well
we're kind of
done.
like limited in what we can do here. You know?
Exactly.
So
They're well
not,
done. It's not a slam on Chris. It's just a slam on the, the limits. It's what
We're
we're
gonna step it up eventually. I think we'll get some better stuff going.
Day. Yeah, we'll figure it out.
That being said, we got a great show for you tonight.
I'm excited for our guests.
Got an amazing guest with us. We have a great topic. We've got a cool new newcomer tip of the week, and we've got another sketch of the week, which is a top 10 list, which you want to stick around for. You don't want to miss it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Let's do it.
Why don't we get into it? Let's welcome our guest, Ashley IP from Silver Spring, Maryland.
Hi, you all. Thank you for having me.
What's up, Ashley?
It's great to be here. Thank you.
Ashley IP, you're not giving up your last name for no dude.
No, I mean, honestly, it was the paperwork. That's all.
I didn't know that. Like, so I don't know, as a kid, I guess it was probably more traditional back in the, like everybody always changed their name. And like more recently I've met some people who haven't, and they're like, it's a lot of work to change your name. It's
lot
not
of
just
work.
like, it's not any easier, I don't think, because you're married either.
License, like birth
Social
certificate,
security,
social
everything.
security, all of it.
Yeah. That's a
So
lot.
I just wasn't doing that. It wasn't some sort of like, progressive thing on my part. I just didn't want to do the paperwork.
I get it. I get that. Yeah.
I mean, you'd be surprised at how complicated of a situation occurs if you mix up Gabe or Gabriel. Like,
Absolutely.
some documents will be truly messed up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I wasn't going to risk any of that.
Yeah. Well, we're glad you're here, Ashley, IP, and we've known you for a long time, both Chris and I. We're super glad that you decided to join us. We are excited to hear your experience. How have you been? How's your week been?
How has my week been?
She's like, no one asks me this question ever.
I know, right?
pretty standard on the show
That might
here.
be true. I mean, I feel like
But nobody other than you on Wednesdays asks me how my week's been. Nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
Nobody gives a shit.
No.
They don't
They
care
may
how
say,
my
how's
week's
your
been."
day?
Nope.
But when you wrap
Nobody cares.
7 days together, it's kind of like a, whew.
Yeah.
I mean, I felt pretty good. I spoke to 2 sponsees on Monday.
There you go.
That's a win.
Spoke to another one today, like one of the in the wind ones, right? So that always feels like a win.
Yep.
And then caught up with 2 others.
Yeah.
Everybody showed up for their call times. You know what I mean?
that's-
I just feel like I get to check a box if I'm honest with you. I'm like,
She
I
has-
showed up as a sponsor.
She has call times.
You know what?
You guys have opinions on call times? Tell
No,
me.
not opinion. Just,
I'm just not important enough to have call times.
what does that mean?
I'm like, just call me whenever.
yeah. But, and neither does your sponsor.
You're there, call times.
Well, he's usually doing different
he's-
things during the day. You know, he
Yeah,
probably couldn't.
if he's not answering the phone, he's in the casino. You know what I mean?
So
Sort of
we should talk about
semi-retired.
call times real quick because I don't have those either. But I know I've heard of a lot of people.
I'm
who
just
do have
teasing
call
Ashley. She
times.
knows that.
I absolutely know that. I wouldn't be here otherwise, of course.
Have you found a benefit to it? Is it something that you?
Absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
if I'm honest with you, it's just a way for me to manage myself.
Yeah.
Because I'm selfish with my time.
I get it.
So, if my husband's gotten home from work and I'm cooking dinner and whatever, and a sponsee calls, I'm probably
Yeah.
not going to answer the phone.
That's what I
But
do.
if we have a
I just
set-
don't answer.
Right. So if I have a set time, this is when I'm available to you. I mean, don't get me wrong. My sponsees can call me at any time, at any point.
Right.
But you can absolutely guarantee that you're going to get time with me during your call time. That is what it's for. Make sure you have your inventory. You know what I mean? Like,
I got a good.
let's make it purposeful.
I got a couple. We're going to expand upon this. We're really messing the time up here tonight, but I don't care. So, with the call time, how long is the time?
Well, I have sponsees who I know are like really thorough. And so
Mm-hmm.
I have one who like 30 minutes is all she needs. And I mean, really, that's all she does. I have another one, hour to 45 minutes.
Holy
But you have to think, she only talks to me once a week.
Okay,
So,
all right, I could see that. I could see.
She has a lot of feelings and a lot
Yeah,
of it.
and I get that, but I think about Chris. I'm like, dude, in a week, what do you got? 5 minutes for your sponsor?
I couldn't think of
Maybe
30 seconds worth of information to tell my sponsor on a given day, much less 30 minutes.
What about once a month, Chris? Would you? If you talk to your sponsor once a month?
Well-
what's the most you think you could get in time wise?
If I stretched it out with nonsense, I think I could fill up 10 minutes.
In a month. In a month.
Come on.
10 minutes
That's
in a
a
month.
lie.
You got to do a 10
Hold
step.
on. That's
That
probably
sounds like.
true. That's probably true. But in all honesty, I mean, today my life is so repetitive now. I mean, it's like this. It's like Groundhog Day. Every day I'm doing kind of the same thing, and at 20 years, I'm not. I mean, this was it was different when I was new.
I talked to my sponsor
Totally
today.
different.
To my sponsor today.
Oh, you got it right there. 3. Is that 3? How long? Oh,
I talked to my sponsor for 46 minutes today.
Oh, okay. Yeah, absolutely.
Now, we weren't talking about
had something
inventory
you were talking
the whole
about.
time. We were talking about different things,
Yeah.
but still.
Right.
So I just can't imagine. But you talked to Ike for.
But I see Isaac, so it's
That's
different.
true.
I see him a lot. So I see
Right.
him at 2 meetings I go to.
That's
so
true.
we chat. So it's different. It's different if I didn't see him ever.
Like
think
I
it
don't
would
see
be a
my
different-
sponsor. I talk
Right.
to him once a week.
I think it would be different.
Same, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we could talk for a whole hour.
I don't know how
maybe
we went
we'll,
down this tangent. I don't know how we went down this, but it
I
was
don't.
good.
Yeah.
It was good.
I think maybe
I loved
we'll
it.
have a topic about that at some point. We'll bring Ashley back on. Maybe we'll do a little cameo appearance. And we can
There's no
talk
right or
about
wrong,
times.
though.
No,
Whatever
Absolutely.
works.
Absolutely.
not at all. We should probably say that. There's no right or wrong.
There's no right or wrong.
Whoever you do it, whatever works for you. So let's get into some stats here, Ashley. Why don't you
Sure.
give us your basic sobriety details, sobriety date sponsor home group?
Sure. So my sobriety date is April 7th, 2006. I just celebrated 17 years.
Awesome. Congratulations.
I'm going to
Yes.
say LB is my sponsor because,
Yeah.
I
All
don't know
good.
how she feels about this. So there's that part.
All
I
good.
do have a sponsor.
who you're talking about.
I do have a sponsor.
I'm trying to think about it. I don't know.
You don't know? Okay,
I
that's
don't
okay.
know.
That's okay. We'll
Yeah.
talk about it
Oh,
later.
wait, no. I just got it. Okay.
You got it.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
good.
all right.
And my home group is actually, I'm not going to say the name, but it is a Black, Indigenous, People of Color meeting
Okay.
for women and non-binary people.
Nice.
A 7 a.m. meeting. So,
That's great.
yeah.
No,
That's a
if
good way
you're
to start the
if
day.
You're going that is serious. If
Yeah.
you're showing up 7 a.m. to your home group, I got a lot of
Yeah.
respect for that.
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, the other piece, it's a newer group. And the other piece was that I became the chair of a 7-day-a-week meeting on Zoom for people all over the country.
All 7 days, you're the chair?
I was, yes.
Okay.
Because there was nobody, me and maybe 2 other people had over double digit sobriety at all.
Mm-hmm.
So anybody's experience with the traditions and things like that,
Yeah.
it wasn't available to them. So
commitment.
to be inconvenienced in service.
That is.
I'm glad the service is done and I'm glad that they're doing well, but yeah, it was a lot, but
Yeah.
I'm glad to be a part of it for sure.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's definitely a space of AA history, things changing, right? So it's pretty cool.
100%.
It's pretty
great.
cool. I'm glad to be there.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. I
Okay.
think that's all right. That's all right.
Yeah.
17 years. I don't know if I guess I knew that. I don't know.
Right. I mean,
What
like,
class are you in?
06.
06.
yeah. So I think it's the technicality of, wait, I know I've known you a long time, but I knew you when you were messy. And then it's like, wait, but I've grown too. And so all of a sudden you're
Yeah.
like, wait, you have 17 years? That means I've known you that
Crazy.
long? That
Yeah.
means, you know what I mean? It kind of all comes together.
I just
So.
knew we got sober around the same time because I get that vibe from the people who we've been through it together, for a long time now. So it's like when I see if somebody's like, how long's Ashley been sober? I was like, around what I got, man. We've been doing this a long time.
Exactly.
Yep.
Some amount of time.
Yeah, exactly. We've been doing this a long time together. It's a gift. It's amazing. So
It is. It's really amazing. And I know people always like to say, oh, it's so crazy. I have that amount of time. But it's like, no, it's not. I put in work to do that. So
Yeah.
it's not actually crazy, right? We do the things, we get it. So
yeah.
it works out.
I think for me, more than anything, and this just shows my vanity, is it just makes me realize I'm getting older. That's it for me.
I mean, but you have to think about it. There was a point in your life you didn't know that was available to you.
Not at all.
Right?
Not at all. Didn't even think about it.
So
Yeah.
what a
But now
blessing.
it's just like, whew, time is flying. You
Yeah,
know,
it is.
It is going by fast.
It is.
I think we're all living beyond our God-given capacity. There's no question.
Absolutely.
Ashley's delivering babies and marrying people.
Yeah. Yes, for sure.
Maybe sometimes in the same weekend.
Yeah, maybe.
Have you ever done that in the same weekend?
No, not in the same weekend.
could
but we'll
happen.
see. It
could
could
happen.
We'll see how many, birthing people that I have coming along.
Yeah, yeah.
I have somebody due at the end of May. I don't think they're going to make it to the end of May, but we'll see what happens. I don't have any weddings on the books, but
Hey,
it could
could
happen.
change. That could
Yeah,
change.
exactly right. Exactly. All the things.
well, why don't we talk a little bit about a time when I'm assuming you probably weren't delivering babies and marrying people. What you were
You'd be
like.
surprised. No, I'm joking.
We will have to hear about that. No. What you were like.
What I was like. I don't know. I mean, I was very insecure. I loved drinking. I loved drugs. It was the space where I just felt good. I felt good about myself. I felt good about other people. I loved making friends with bizarre people, you know. I was inappropriate. I liked when people received that, you know. I used to randomly, I would always wear really inappropriate shirts, right? And I had this weird shirt from a barbecue spot that talked about like being finger licking good, and guys bought me drinks, you know what I mean? Like, and not even necessarily like men that were interested in me, you know what I mean? Like, I remember a gay guy bought me drinks all night because of that shirt, you know? So it was stuff like that. I loved the false sense of camaraderie that came with drinking so much, you know? There used to be this club
it's intoxicating. Just like as much as the alcohol, in my opinion.
It is.
The whole social dynamic around it. I mean, because I drank in bars and clubs. It was like, all of it was like amazing.
Yes, and the way that it would all unfold, like you couldn't make it up. Do you get what I'm saying? It's not something you could try to do. I remember there's this club in DuPont called Club 5 because they stayed open till like 5 in the morning and you could drink and stuff. And that had several floors, and each floor played a different type of music, you know the deal. And so the top floor was hip hop.
You were in the industrial one floor.
You were?
You were.
No, I wasn't.
Come on,
I
be
wasn't.
honest.
I wasn't. I mean, I would go to
9 Inch Nails.
Do you remember Nation?
No.
Do you remember
Oh,
Nation?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Now that I would do. And
Buzz.
Velvet Nation.
I remember.
Ridiculous. Up in there, finger licking good.
I remember Buzz.
Yeah, Buzz.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Buzz was like the end of that, right?
Yeah,
A couple military people got caught. I think got caught up. They were doing something. It was bad. They shut down Buzz.
Yeah.
But at
Shout
Club
out.
5, top floor was hip hop.
Yep.
And I would go to the floor and I'd be able to, you know, rap every single line to something. And guys would just go crazy. And they'd be like, oh my God, get her a drink. And literally, that's how I got drinks all night. You know what I mean? Just silly shit, you know? I loved it. So, you know, there's that piece where I absolutely...
Nobody was buying me drinks.
No.
I'm just going to put that out there right now.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's the thing. There was a lot of that, you know? I just felt good. I felt like connection with people. It felt great, you know? I felt... what's the word?
Did you relate to the discomfort that a lot of people talk? You hear it in AA, feeling like maybe you didn't fit in your skin, or people got a manual you didn't get to life.
Yeah.
No, I just thought it was my personality. I just thought I was shy.
Yeah.
You know, when I was drinking, I wasn't shy, and when I was sober, I was, and I just thought it was my personality. That was it. I had friends growing up. That was never an issue. I was actually talking to somebody about this the other day. We're like, we find them, right? This girl decided she was going to be friends with me when I was like in middle school because we had our lockers near each other, and she just called me and said, I want to be your friend. And I said, okay. And then she like starts the story with, you know, I feel like trigger warning here, how she like attempted suicide, and like, I was like, okay, cool. And she's like, let's go to the movies. I said, okay. Like, you know what I mean? So it's not like I had these normal, healthy relationships, right? I still had some weird shit going on with me, but I just like rolled with it. I just thought it was fine. I thought, you know, but no, I never felt like, oh, there were some manuals to life that I wasn't getting. I just thought, well, I'm shy and I'm quiet and I'm uncomfortable, and that's just who I am.
And that's how I didn't, there was no pre-existing problem when I started drinking that I was looking to solve particularly. But when I finally got drunk and I was sort of in drinking as more of a habit, it did seem to solve problems that I didn't realize I had. You know what I mean? It was for me, it was a major like stress reliever. I could just kind of like, you know, because I was the hardest on myself. You know what I mean? I put these pressures and these demands, and, you know, I was young and I was an entrepreneur and I was doing this stuff, and it was like I had all these like goals and I just couldn't let up ever.
Absolutely.
And when I drank, it was just like all that just disappeared, just faded away. And I was like, wow.
I mean, I feel
amazing.
like that was the very first thing, my very first like real drunk that I felt was, oh, I don't care.
Yes.
That was, I mean, and it was shocking.
Don't care.
I was like, I don't care what anybody thinks of me. I was like the obnoxious girl. We were out of the country. You know what I mean? Literally, like 5 people were babysitting me. I mean, it was trash. And I just remember not caring at all what anybody thought about it, how they felt about it. And that was, I mean, that's what started me, really, of like, oh, all this anxiety about what people think about me, what I'm doing, how I'm behaving, it didn't exist.
Yeah.
You know, that was a big deal.
And you know, a lot of fun. Where would you say the fun started to be joined with some problems, like a noticeable, hey, this might be, you know, bad?
I mean, so I didn't have a lot of physical outside consequences, right? Mine were way more emotional. And I think that the thing that happened for me was I noticed where so a lot of my bottom happened in my childhood home, and my like walls were like lavender, right? And I would come home, I always got like to the point of being sick, right? And I remember coming home and being on my bed with one foot off my bed, looking at these lavender walls, spinning, being so sick, having thrown up, trying not to do it again, and be like, I have to stop this. And literally the next night, the same exact situation was happening. And so something shifted where I don't know that I would have told you that I couldn't stop, but I was like, something has to give here. And so it was a lot of like me trying to fix myself, and it wasn't working. And trying to talk to the people that I was drinking and drugging with, like, do you all feel like this? And they're like, no, we're not going to be doing this in our 30s. That's what one friend said. She's like, I was like, we're like 22. Like, what are you talking? Like, that's not that far away. I don't see myself stopping by that point. So it was a lot of like, I feel like I'm the only one. That space of the alcoholic loneliness was very real for me. Like my boyfriend at the time was a bartender, and he just didn't understand why I wasn't drinking, or, you know what I mean? Like I was trying to do these things and it wasn't lining up, and it wasn't becoming fun. And the consequences of just not living the way that I would like to, and really not being able to, you know, like to Chris's point, like I couldn't get out of my bedroom without doing something, right? And recognizing I couldn't get in my car, I couldn't go out in the world, you know what I mean? All of the things where the drinking and drugging used to really help. It used to really motivate me, you know?
I was a wake and bake guy.
Yes, absolutely.
Every day.
I was a shower beer guy. I would have a beer in the shower.
That always sounded so intense to me.
It actually isn't. It was just the I can still remember the condensation on the can from the
Cold. Yeah.
Just
I would do a screwdriver in the morning, but I couldn't even, my feet wouldn't even touch the ground. I'd be just wake and bake, dude.
Yeah.
Right? Even get out of bed. I mean,
yeah.
just get crushed, you know.
Absolutely.
Before my girlfriend wakes up and starts talking to me, I just needed to make sure
Absolutely.
I was out.
Yes.
So you're starting to see some problems, and you mentioned maybe trying some things. What were the kind of things you were trying, and what were you finding? You know, what were the outcomes of those tries?
The outcomes of the tries that were never successful. I went to therapy because I thought if I could handle my drug problem, I would, you know, drink like a lady, as they say. Which I felt like I never related to that, but I did. Really?
A lot of people think that, I think.
Absolutely.
You know, if I can sort out, if I could just not do cocaine,
Literally.
I'll be okay.
This little, you know, and I thought it was going to happen in a nice little summer, and I was going to get my life together that summer, you know. But yeah, so I put myself in therapy. My therapist suggested the group in which I went, you all, right? And I was like, that's ridiculous. I'm not going to a 12-step program.
Yeah.
So I went to rehab. That cost me $10,000. You know what I mean?
Right.
I always say it was like my $10,000 big book, whatever.
Yeah.
But then what? In that space, there was a lot of hearing what you all were talking about, because since I was lying about my date. I had broken up with my alcoholic boyfriend. I was like taking Antabuse in my outpatient rehab, putting it under my tongue, spitting out so I could go drink and drug with the people I was spending my time with there. My family thought I was in night school. I had one friend who, you know, I've since made amends to, but her father did not do well in 12-step programs, and she was the only person that I would drink with. So I would literally get drunk and then talk about how I need to get honest. Like, that's all he talked about when I was drunk. Like, you know what I mean? So it was like all of these things.
Downer,
a downer.
Who wants to drink with someone like that?
At Dave and Buster's, because that's the only place I drink.
Which one?
The one in White Flame. That one was so chaotic.
Yeah.
Like you have no idea. It was so chaotic. And I just remember like I drive by in the daytime and I'm like, these families have no idea what goes on here. I mean, I remember I knew a guy, my drug dealer was coming to stalk his girlfriend and he brought a guy and the guy, all of a sudden he was like, hey, it was good to see you, babe. And his friend was like, yeah, it was so great to meet you. And I was like, good to meet you too. Were y'all like, I mean, it was maybe 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, you know, he just stabbed somebody. We got to go. And I was like, all right, bye. Like it was just
It's like nothing, no big deal.
literally at the Dave and Buster's in White Flint.
Wild.
Yeah, just crazy things. But, you know, then coming to a meeting every night, like literally calling my sponsor every day, you know, spending time with you all, going to lunch after the noon, like all that stuff. And that's when I kind of caught alcoholism and like realized, you know, like when people would talk about the spring in their gut, I just didn't think alcohol did. I didn't think it did anything for me the way that you all were talking about. And then I would have these moments of like having been in a meeting. You know, there's this one women's meeting that everybody came basically in their pajamas. It was couch it, you know what I mean? I would come boot cut jeans, high heels, like, you know what I mean? Because I was about to go to the club afterwards, you know what I mean? Literally, you know? And so I would like see these like things happening. I mean, I even ran into a guy in the club and he was drinking and I was drinking and we had both been in the meeting the day before, you know? And we were both trying to like nurse our drinks, like, I'm not going to sip first.
I'm not an alcoholic.
Exactly.
Yeah, you are. Like,
you know,
yeah.
Or just like, no,
It's like
I'm
a game
sober.
of chicken. Like, who's going to finish their drink first?
Well, I mean, it wasn't even that. It was like, well, I technically
Sounds
haven't seen you.
miserable.
It was horrible.
Yeah.
Right? I technically haven't seen you take a sip of that drink. That's what both of us were doing. And then finally I was like, fuck it. And I drank it and he did too. And we pretended we didn't see each other, you know? I mean, it was crazy.
I'm sure that happens more than we've been sober a while, but for people who are kind of in and around, I'm sure it happens all the time. You see each other out and kind of like, hey,
it's a small town.
Yeah, it is a small town.
Small town.
Yeah, absolutely. And the drinking scene, you know, just being in it. But it was just seeing all the places where I couldn't do what I thought I could do. Yeah. And you all were talking about
the unmanageability.
Absolutely. Yeah. I didn't know about it before. And so I would go back and forth, you know.
So finally you start coming around and you're half in, half out maybe.
Yes.
What let's talk about when you finally got it. What shifted and what actions maybe did you start taking that you weren't taking before?
So the thing that I always talk about is that I did a 4-step while I was still drinking and drugging. And I credit that 4-step like for me being sober today. I know that it would seem like, oh, well, I wasn't really sober, so I shouldn't count it. But it absolutely shifted my perspective because I remember working on it and thinking like, I can take a drink after this. Like these people are doing this sober. Like, you know what I mean? It was shocking. And doing the 5th step with my sponsor. And she asked me at the end, is there any secrets that I was holding on to? And I physically was like, and I was like, no. And I knew, like, I clearly there were, right? You know, not being sober, no big deal.
She could probably sense it.
She said she didn't know. She said she didn't know. And because she was surprised at how thorough I was on my part. She was actually shocked. She told me that. She was like, I've never seen a newcomer know their part so thoroughly. And I was like, okay, cool, you know. And that was the thing that shifted everything for me, of thinking that I was getting away with something. Like, because I really believed that if I told a lie enough, it was true, right? And it wouldn't affect me because I believed it. So how could it affect me in a negative way? And it was the first time that I physically felt my lies were affecting my spiritual condition. And that's when it kind of all started to unravel. That's when I was, you know, at events wanting to have what you all had. This is when I was starting to really feel bad that I was, you know, I had made friends with someone who was a mom and she trusted me with her son. And don't get me wrong, I was never like under the influence with her child or anything like that. We were always at meetings, but feeling bad about that. Like, wait, this girl trusts me and I'm lying to her every day, and seeing people and like, wait, they're really sober and I'm lying about this. And so that's what kind of snowballed me getting honest.
Because those relationships, and you don't realize this when you're new, but everything ends the way it starts. And if it starts in a dishonest way, it's going to end in a dishonest way.
Absolutely. The selfishness that we talk about in relationships, right? Yeah. So that was the thing. That was the thing that really changed it. And so I actually prayed that morning because, and this is something I said too, that I really believe that I thought if I could get your brand of spirituality, I could drink safely. I did know it was something in my spirit that was wrong, right? So I was doing everything except for staying sober. So I prayed that morning and I said, whatever is keeping me from being honest. And the sentence didn't even leave my mouth. And I got up and I called my sponsor and I told her everything, and she told me it works better when you're sober. It's a touche,
It's true.
It is true. It is true. And literally based on experience, right? That's not just speculation. I tried to do it all while still being out there. It didn't work. And it made being out there not as fun,
But some people think that not drinking is the whole ball game, but really it's just your minimum ante. It's
the bare minimum.
It's literally just the very first thing that you'll do in AA.
Yeah.
You have to not be drinking, and because there are emotional experiences that you're going to have here that require sobriety and require you to be uncomfortable.
Right.
In a lot of ways.
Presence, right? That's really all it is, to be present for the fullness of life. That's what happens here, in my opinion,
Yeah.
And so just like being able to see that, and like I stayed sober for 3 honest days, and then I relapsed, and it was like a trash relapse too. I had some weed that I tried to ruin so I wouldn't smoke it, and I went and smoked it anyway, and it was weird, and and I was like, that's what I was so mad that that's how I did it, but thank goodness,
Got a headache.
3 days was a long time back then, 3 days. I was like, man, 3 days.
3 days.
It's incredible. It's incredible. And I was in that space of, okay, I can either.
3 days.
I couldn't either.
Unless I was locked up.
Yeah.
That was it.
That's the thing. I couldn't at all day long. So once I was like, okay, I can either start lying again or get honest. And I got honest, and I remember going to a noon to get honest about what I had done. And I never wanted to be the shaky newcomer, right? And I remember being so nervous. I was shaking in the meeting. I was like, oh, you know what I mean? I just felt like it was God having a sense of humor. No, you will be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not up to you.
Hopefully you'll never have to be again.
Absolutely.
This is a good reminder.
Yeah. And that was it. And everything after that, I was on a total pink cloud because everybody knew I'd been lying because I got honest about it. My 24-hour trip to this date is one of the most important experiences of my recovery. I remember looking at people. I remember people smiling and clapping. And I remember being so relieved because I used to sit in the meeting and feel like, am I constitutionally incapable of being honest? And it was such a bold moment for me. I was like, oh no, I did it. They all know it's out on the table. Yeah. It felt so good. It felt so good. And so everything after that felt amazing. Because I used to I'd stand up for sobriety countdowns. There was a gala, there was a very important gala that people used to go to, and they had me speak at the podium. They pulled names out of the hat. God. And I did really bold stuff, you know? So I felt really grateful to be doing anything sober and that people were witnessing me.
There's a speaker, I don't even remember his name, but he calls it chip fraud.
Yes.
Chip fraud.
Yes.
Who is it? Yeah. Chip fraud.
I don't know.
Jackson.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yep.
From,
oh man, I haven't heard that name in a while. Yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely did. So many times.
You were committing chip fraud.
Yes. Every month. And I'd smile and feel so good about it for a while. For a long time.
I was at a meeting and was committing the same act, and we're about to be the time to pick up a chip, and the guy next to me looked at me, put his hand on my leg, and he said, "Hey, if you don't really have 2 months, you don't have to go up and pick up the chip." And at the time, I'm looking back, this guy knew I didn't have. I think I was high at the time, but I was like,
I wonder how he knew.
I was like, what is this guy talking about? And I got up and I got the chip and I hung a left and I walked out the door, and I never came back to A for a year. I think over a year after that.
You're like, I'm done.
I was like, I'm out of here, man.
Well, you know what's crazy about that is that those little moments would happen. I remember somebody was sharing about how they were lying about their sobriety date, and then they looked at me, and I was like, oh my God, she knows.
Yeah.
And she was like, no, I didn't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it would be those moments where I was like, oh God, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was helpful because then I found out I wasn't the only person who ever did that.
No.
And won't ever, won't be the last
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. So we've talked a lot. We're going to move on here to our topic. I think this is a little bit of the opposite end of the spectrum. Our topic tonight is something that is further on in the steps. So if you're not here, that's okay. But if you are, we're going to share a little bit of our experience with this, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood him, praying only for knowledge of his will for us and the power to carry that out. And this is, if you don't know, the 11th step of our program. Chris, we've talked about this sometimes, about our 11th step. I want to hear,
the lack of my 11th step.
I mean,
more
kind
like
of,
it.
look, I think everybody's experience is different. And I think your experience is just as important, even if the lack of, but I know you've got experience with prayer and not, kind of not doing it and then doing it and finding your way.
So I think the 11th step is a personal journey for everybody, and there's no right or wrong way to sort of go about it. And I have had my challenges with God and spirituality, as I think a lot of people in AA do. And for me, I never feel closer to God than when I'm talking to a newcomer or doing a fifth step or giving them a ride somewhere and having a conversation with one-on-one. And I always feel the presence of God in those conversations, those real conversations that you have. It doesn't have to be a newcomer. It could be anyone in AA. Holding hands and praying at the end of the meeting, that connects me in a way. But at home, I'm not great. I'm not. I start the day, my mind wakes up before my body, and I'm up at like 5:30, and it never occurs to me to pick up like daily reflections or a big book. I mean, I'm just like marching along with my selfish, self-centered agenda, trying to check things off the list. And, and eventually midday I'll hit a wall with it, and then some of the guys I sponsor will call me, snap me out of it, and it's back to my third step. It's like, to me, the 11th step and the third step it's never a one and done deal. It's something I recommit to every day. And, but I could grow here along spiritual lines, probably better. I mean,
I think that's why it says improve here.
Yeah.
It talks about improving our conscious contact with God. Yeah. So, how about you, Ashley? What has been your experience with the 11th step? And that maybe your experience when you were new or when you kind of first started doing it until now, has it changed?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the things is that when I was out there, meditation was a big deal for me, right? Because of
before you got sober.
Before I got sober.
Okay.
Because again, I was trying to seek something that was going to change how I was feeling. Yeah. So there was that piece. But I will say one of the things that was always stood out to me was when I was new, me and some sponsorship sisters went to visit my old sponsor in London. And I remember just feeling like trash and being so irritable and not wanting to be around anyone. And I was just like in a grump in a way that like I'm not typically, and I was like, I don't know what's wrong with me. And then I realized like, oh, we were in a different country, a different setting. I hadn't prayed. Right. And I was like, oh, I haven't prayed. And then my sponsorship sister at the time was like, well, do you want to pray now? And I was like, no, I don't want to pray. And I was like, yeah, let's go ahead. Let's do that. Right. And so I prayed and it changed my day. And it was the first time I realized, oh, maybe the things I'm being asked to do here, even though I don't understand them, something is happening. Right. Mm-hmm. And it was also the first space of, I don't necessarily need to know everything that's going on to know that I'm benefiting from it. Right. And so that then changed why I took those actions. Right. Yeah. Something is happening that's much bigger than me. So having that experience with prayer in my second step really changed why I do the rest of the steps. And then once I get to the 11th step, I have put in a level of investment in myself, right? It's not just like I have done a lot of work to get here. So let me try to maintain that the best of my ability. And yes, everybody has, a very different path with meditation and stuff. Because I feel like I want to challenge Hoover's idea that he doesn't have it when he talks about having a routine in his day, right? Like that idea of there are simple things that just line us up with where we're supposed to be, So, with me today, and that's the thing too that happened, like COVID really, I felt really grateful for having a meditation practice when COVID hit because people were either...
I could have used it then.
People were having a time, right? Like having to be with themselves, you know what I mean? Having to see how they affect other people, having to see what their spiritual condition really looked like when you're not ripping and running, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I took full advantage. I was like meditating every day. I was just like, oh, this is so wonderful. You know what I mean? Whatever. There was one day like my alarm clock, I don't know, it like came out of the wall socket and I like meditated for like 2 hours. And my husband was like, what? I was like, why didn't you like stop? He was like, I thought you were going for like a record or something. I didn't know what was going on. So whatever. So so I have a relationship with it. But the thing I'll say is that it also, when I don't want to sit down, I know for a fact there's something I'm not trying to look at. It's just my experience today.
Yeah.
It's not about, oh, I don't have time or whatever. If for me personally, if I'm not trying to sit and be still, there's something I don't want to feel, something I don't want to look at, and it's not, because I think there's this misconception that if you meditate, you're going to feel good. And that's not true, right? The idea is to be, at least to me, and this is, part of what I do in my career. So there's that part as well. But the idea that we're just trying to get in a space of honesty and truth about where we are right now. That's it. So there have been times where I've been feeling really horrible and really down, and I meditate and my perception changes, right? Because that may not be accurate of what's going on in my life.
Yeah.
But there have been other times where I'm like, I'm fine, I'm okay, well, and then I sit and I'm like devastated. But that's just because that's the truth of where I am, right?
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing for me, the truth of it.
Yeah. No, I love that. I think a lot of people, and I don't know why, I think a lot of people are a little scared of this kind of stuff sometimes when they come into especially when they come into the program and the thought of prayer and meditation. Myself, I had no real connection with the higher power when I got sober. But like you said, by the time you get here, you've put in a lot of work and you've taken a look at that. And so it's about improving that contact with that higher power. And I'm grateful for there's some instructions in the book. The book gives some basic stuff, but I know a lot of people, including myself, have gone outside and found our own kind of thing, which works for us too. So, glad to hear if you're out there and you're struggling with your 11th step, that's okay. We all have struggled with it too. I know I still am not as consistent. Struggling. I'm not as consistent as I would like to be. I think the one thing I love that you said, Ashley, is that when I sit, if I don't want to, or if I'm feeling like I can't do this right now, it's usually because there's something that I know I don't want to look at, So I like that. Let's move on to the next part of our show. We are going to get into the newcomer tip of the week.
Oh, he's so sad.
Right. He looks very upset. Looks like he didn't get his way about something. I don't know what.
Throwing a fit.
So if you're just listening to audio, we've got a picture of a guy up here. He looks very unhappy. Like, I don't know, man. Something bad happened. Maybe he didn't get what he wanted, or sponsor just told him he had to go help somebody. He didn't want to. I don't know. So the newcomer tip of the week is, if you're new, this is maybe just a quick little reminder of something that I think that a lot of us when we were new weren't sure about. And it is, but we aren't a glum lot. If newcomers could see no joy or fun in our existence, they wouldn't want it.
Nope.
I like this because I think for me, I had this idea that when I got sober, that my life was over. I don't know why. The idea of Alcoholics Anonymous was like, I am confined now to a miserable existence in a church basement with a bunch of people who I don't relate to and who I have nothing in common with. And
Drinking shitty coffee.
Shitty, all that
Going
stuff.
Going
to the diner. And that hasn't been my experience. So if you're new and you're out there and you're thinking that, I could say a couple of things. Maybe you've gone to one meeting and you have this idea of what you think AA is, and there's different meetings. Maybe you haven't really participated and you've just gotten there 2 minutes after the meeting started and left 2 minutes before it ended. And it's kind of hard to feel part of something if you're not doing anything there. But I do know that my experience has been that it has not been a glum time in AA, and I've had a lot of fun. I've made a lot of friends, 2 of them sitting here, and many other people. But I had to be willing to kind of jump in a little bit and give it a try, or else I wouldn't have had that experience. Ashley, how about you?
When you told me what the tip was, the only thing I could think about was my first sober party with, people drinking out of red Solo cups. And I remember Juicy by Biggie was playing, and I was getting my entire life. And I just remember being like, we're allowed to listen to this still? Like, we're allowed to, just
exactly, yeah.
I was like, what? And I had the best time. Was
that a house party at my house?
It could have been. No, really, and just I remember I wanted to leave, and I was like, I want a drunk dial right now, but I'm not drunk. And I was like, this is crazy. And I just remember feeling so good, and the life that I was participating in before.
Yeah.
Here it is, the things that were really great about it.
Yeah.
And I'm participating with people who have the same need as me. And so I know that that's not necessarily available to everyone. The idea of a slapping house party, you know what I mean? But at the same time, it could mean getting together with people that you've met. It could, that idea of creating the fellowship you crave, a hobby, whatever it is, doing something safe, finding out more about yourself. But belly laughter was a big deal when I was new, and it happened a lot,
Yeah.
So I feel like that's the biggest thing. Just
yeah.
life is very much, life was more available to me in sobriety than it was before, right? I could talk about a lot of stuff, but I wasn't doing it, right? So that was the biggest piece. And that's the thing, my first sponsor, she's like, oh, is your sobriety holding you back? And I was like, no, you know what I mean? But so get me up to go and do something. So just go do the thing you want to do, just bring somebody in sobriety along and see what happens,
Yeah.
So that's what I say about it.
Chris, how about you?
Well, I think I went to some meetings before I kind of fell in with you guys, and all meetings are different. Find what works for you, what you kind of what you're looking for, and all of us benefited from the culture in the AA meetings that we kind of grew up in. There was already a foundation for young people to have fun.
Absolutely.
There was all of the building blocks were in place. There were events, and they were doing ikipas and going to the beach on the weekend and dances, and I didn't have to do anything except show up.
Yeah.
At least initially.
Right.
Eventually you want to try to put on those things and pay it forward for the next generation coming behind you. But initially, all I had to do was show up. And to me, it was like, oh, okay. But it's a double-edged sword, because you can hide in that. You can, because it does feel good, but you can hide in that sort of social outlet of AA and forget that this is a deadly illness. And if I'm not taking the steps, it doesn't really matter how many fun things I do in Alcoholics Anonymous. Eventually, it will become boring, and it did for me. And I was in a rough place. I was between I had to write my 8th step, and all of the the glitter in AA, all the dances. I just started thinking, these are so lame. AA did. I used to go to clubs and thousands of people. You know what I mean? And I'm in this basement with this lame DJ. It's just awful. You know what I mean? And I knew when I started thinking like that, that's bad. Because the next thought is, I'm going to go do that.
Right.
And look, Everybody's different. You know, people go to festivals and concerts and stuff like that. I don't have any opinion about it one way or other. Was that Gabe?
Yeah.
Yeah, sober festival goer.
I would just say, you know, make sure you were talking to somebody about it before you go and bring somebody
Absolutely.
along. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I went to Vegas with my best running buddy.
And today now it's very different though. I mean, they do have like these sober tents. I mean, sobriety is not like what it was 20 years ago. I mean, it was, you know, it's sort of more.
It's a lot more options out there.
A lot more options.
more accessible.
Yeah. So we'll move on. I'll just say this. I think that in the reading, in the book where it says this, and I'll read it again, but we aren't a glum lot. If newcomers could see no joy or fun in our existence, they wouldn't want it. It also is a reminder to the people who have been around AA, hey, don't be a jackass, asshole all the time and mean to the new people who are coming in AA. Don't just try to tell them what to do and be all serious. Because guess what? If they can see no joy or fun, they're not going to want to be here.
Gabe,
and I think...
Do you feel like we're serious, John and I?
No.
Good. Because that's a good reminder, I think,
No
to a
one
lot of
takes us
people
seriously.
who some people I see, they're just so serious all the time. If you don't do, you know, and it's like, hey, look, well, like that's good. Like we need some of
chill
that.
out,
but
bro.
let's also remember we can have fun. And you know what? We're gonna have a lot of fun right now with our sketch of the week.
I don't know if we're gonna have a lot of fun, but
We've got tonight
interesting.
another top 10 list. If you don't
10.
know, we've somewhat done a little bit of a parody on the David Letterman top 10. Tonight we've got a great new list. I want to thank another member of AA, actually my sponsor, for sending me this interesting website where there were a ton of AA car magnets. These are magnets you can buy and you can put them on the back
really
of your
get
car.
these, though?
People really do buy these. Yes, I'm passing the list around right now. The way this is going to go is I'll start with 10 and then Ashley will read 9, Chris 8, and we'll go from there. So why don't we just get into the best of AA car
Oh,
magnets?
hopefully I put them in order.
Number 10.
Okay.
You did.
No, he didn't.
Well, this is number 10. So number 10 is One Day at a Time. Look
Here's
at
the
this.
But why the butterfly,
I don't know.
Ashley?
What do you think?
I didn't create this.
Yeah, she did.
I didn't.
Here's what I'll say.
But you're super spiritual. Maybe there was some sort of like spiritual connection with a butterfly.
I mean, the thing is a caterpillar going to a
There you
butterfly, right?
How long do butterflies
It's
live?
a mess in between.
How long do butterflies live?
Not very long.
I think
can't
they
imagine.
live. I think they live a day.
One day.
I think so. Did I just
Dave,
make that up?
No
All the-
way.
That can't be true.
Can't be true.
Hold
I mean,
on.
I
What
do
a
think it's a
sad
short period
life.
of time, but it's
Hold
Are you
not.
sure you're not talking about like mosquitoes?
Yeah,
Mosquitoes
so like,
only live,
or like,
2
yeah.
days or a
So
week.
sad.
Okay, 2 weeks. 2 weeks. All right, whatever. It should say 2 weeks at a time then, and have a butterfly. They should find something that lives one day. All right. Let's move on. We got to keep going.
It's only
Ashley, what's number
$6.99 now.
9? Ashley.
Willing to go to any length
Ooh, look at this. We got
with a tape measure.
a tape measure to show that you're willing to go to any length. What do we think?
How many inches is on that thing? Is that any
You know
length?
what? You
Or
would
I'm only willing to go to 12.
It actually it goes to 12. It goes to 12.
Does
It goes to 12. Yeah,
That's part of their symbolism. Of
that is their
the
symbolism.
12.
That makes sense. It goes all the way to 12.
Yeah.
Willing to go to any length. All
I
right.
feel like that does not include raking my sponsor's leaves in the middle of the night, which he had us do a couple times.
No, you're
Hey.
right. It doesn't include that.
He
You're
doesn't
right.
include that.
Any
He
length.
doesn't do it anymore.
Any
I will
length.
say that.
Any
I'll be
length,
fair.
Chris.
He's a smart
We
man.
showed up to a pigeon meeting. He just
He's a
had like
smart man.
5 rakes lined up for the 5 of us, and he didn't even say anything. He's like, get to work.
I love it.
I was like, what the fuck?
Did he give you the bags to put the leaves in too?
I don't even remember. It's a long time ago.
He's like Mr. Miyagi. He just has you washing his car.
No, he was not.
painting his house.
No, because
You know,
Lessons,
there was
bro.
something.
There's lessons in
wax
that.
on, wax off, rake on, rake. You know,
There were no
if you're
lessons.
raking leaves, you can't drink. I don't know.
I mean, that's a thing, right?
Let's move on,
I'm
Chris.
still sober. So
what's number
there's
8?
Something there. Number 8 is I was jaywalking
I was jaywalking
when it hit me.
When it hit me.
Get it?
Okay.
That's a deep cut. I feel like that's a deep cut.
So if you aren't familiar, if you're newer and you're familiar, there's a story in the book Alcoholics Anonymous about the jaywalker, and they're basically comparing a jaywalker to an alcoholic. It sounds like this person was actually jaywalking when they realized that they were the jaywalker.
And the hit them part.
And they hit them. And it when
Hit
it
me.
hit me.
Yes. I love how you all genuinely didn't get that part.
Just
I
got
like
it.
that.
Just
I
got
like
it.
that.
That's good. All right. I like it.
Looks like a safety card.
It does. All right, let's go to number 7. Some are sick. Some of us are sicker
That ain't the truth.
than others.
That ain't the truth.
I mean, look, I think we're all alcoholic. We're all sick.
But some of us are sicker than others.
I personally like this one. It's a great, kind of out. Like when somebody's like, how could you do that? I'm like, hey, some of us are sicker than others.
I was going to say this seems more like a personal thing
Yeah.
as opposed to
That's-
saying it to other people,
that's what I'm
right?
thinking.
Like
People
it's
have
an
said it to me.
ownership.
People have said it
that
to you.
Oh, yeah.
In
That you're
referencing
sicker than
you?
other people?
Grand sponsors, great grand sponsors, they just look at you and they're like, well,
Some of us are sicker than others.
and they just shake their head, walk away, and leaves you with that feeling like, what the fuck? Is he talking to me?
I mean, was it true? Was it?
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. I feel some days I'm sicker than others. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But you know what? I value AA.
That part.
You won't see me leaving here thinking I'm fixed.
Let's
I'm
let's
good.
move
I don't
on.
need AA anymore.
What do we
Spend a
got?
day with me.
What do we got, Ashley, for number 6?
It says AA symbol.
Oh, okay. All right. Again, I do want to point out these are car magnets, and we haven't really talked about. We've kind of just gotten into what they're saying, but any of these that you would want or feel comfortable putting on your car?
No,
No,
I've
none.
developed road rage since COVID. So before I didn't have it. Now, yeah,
Since COVID, I like that.
yeah. I don't know what it is. Just
I mean,
something has
you know.
happened though.
I always tell people that the road is a great barometer for my spirituality,
Yeah.
like where I'm at. I'm like you. I don't think I developed it during COVID though. I think I've always had it.
It's very new for me.
It's
I mean, it used to be
okay.
like I used to talk gentle to people, and now I'm just like.
just don't have time.
I mean, I
you
don't
gotta watch
honk or
out.
do anything, but internally, it's a mess. So I don't want that on my car if I am upset.
I like it. Chris, what do we got for number 5?
Number 5. It's just a chip, anniversary chip.
Ooh, so they have a magnet of the chip.
But it doesn't have a number on it. It's just blank.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a chip. So it's like, hey, I am in recovery.
I mean,
To thine
is
own
it though?
self be true.
I mean, is it though? I mean, if you're a regular person, might just think that's like Illuminati's coin or something.
True.
I mean, that's true. It does say recovery on the bottom. But
Yeah, but people are.
Yeah. I mean,
If you don't know, you don't know.
this is true.
I mean, is it printed on that oval magnet, but it's got all that like white around it? I just don't.
Yeah,
I just.
Oh, I get what you're
it seems
saying,
a little
yeah.
shoddy, doesn't it?
Yeah.
it does. All right.
Probably homemade.
Let's move on. Number 4, we have trudging the road of happy destiny.
This quote.
What do we think of this one?
Do you?
What are those boots?
Really?
Trudging the road.
Oh,
Trudging the road to happy destiny.
I'm not mad at that.
Shut up.
Would you have this one on your car?
No.
Totally, Ashley. Come on.
I would not put anything on my car. I don't need people to know me personally.
But like a poster
when I
you'd hang
drive.
it in your room.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But I'm just not mad at the whole idea of trudging the road of happy destiny. But no, I don't feel like people need to know me by the stickers on my car. That's
Gabe, would you get the tattoo of this?
No,
How
maybe
about,
the boots.
all right,
I don't know.
let's move on, Ashley. What do we got for number 3?
sobriety delivers everything alcohol promises.
Ooh, what do you think
not
about
sure.
that statement, Chris?
I'm not sure if I even agree with this.
Maybe I put it on there because
Some
I knew
knee
you.
trouble
Maybe I
right
put it
here.
on there because I knew you guys wouldn't.
Being provocative.
What do you think? Sobriety
I can-
delivers everything alcohol
I can
promises.
guarantee you that alcohol delivered some things sobriety hasn't. Not that I want them to be delivered, but there's just not gonna. It's not gonna get delivered in sobriety.
Gabe,
Wait,
what do you think?
I don't know. I feel like alcoholics are so nitpicky. I feel like there was a specific intention with this one. Like we're like, oh, everything.
Yeah.
Tearing it down.
Ashley?
I don't know that I have any feelings about it. I mean, the thing I get it. I get what they're trying to say, right?
Yeah,
That, like
I get the idea.
the hopes and dreams and all those things. But
All right.
Yeah.
Chris, what do we got for number 2?
How do you get to become an old timer?
don't drink and don't die.
How do you get to become an old timer? Oh, you hit it. That's what it says.
Wait, does it really? Oh.
You finished it.
No way.
Don't drink
no
and
way.
I swear to goodness, I didn't even look. I swear.
You didn't even
That's
see
so
it.
good.
That's what it says. How do you get to become an old timer? Don't drink and don't die.
I don't agree with this.
I mean, I don't agree with
Wait.
it either. I mean, look. But here's the
Wait,
thing.
why not?
It's actually true.
I can't. If I'm not drinking, I'm going to kill somebody.
Well, no, 100.
And if I'm not taking these steps, it's not just not drinking.
We're getting into the
Okay, I
nitpicky
get
of
that.
you need to do more
Yeah.
to stay sober than don't
Right.
drink and don't die. But if you didn't
that's like
drink and you didn't
put the
die,
plug
you
in the
were in
jug.
AA.
You can also die from other substances if you want to be really nitpicky.
I mean, I've met some old timers who I'm sure probably were just not drinking and didn't die. So
Right, and that doesn't.
Not that you'd want to hang out with.
But it doesn't say how do you get a happy sobriety. It says how do you
No.
become an old timer.
exactly,
So
this is very
that
factual.
piece.
I get
Yeah.
that. I get that.
I don't like any of these.
Being
Let's-
provocative.
Let's go to. Can we get a drum roll, Gabe?
I don't like any of these.
You don't remember? It's fine. Don't even mess around. Don't even do it.
That'd be great.
Don't even do it.
We'll find it here in a second. Don't even worry about it, dude. It can't be that many.
You got it?
I might have deleted.
You
Oh wait,
might-
I found one.
Okay, let's go. And the number one best of AA car magnets. Once you're a pickle, you can't go back to being a cucumber.
What?
I mean that's.
dude.
I agree with it. I mean that's a fact.
That is a fact.
That is a culinary fact.
That's a culinary fact. You cannot know
It's a
that.
molecular fact to some
Science.
level, right?
That is science.
Science.
But what are they talking about here? When it comes to AA, they're saying, hey, once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic. Is that what they're saying?
That's what they're saying.
I've met some people who came into AA and claimed being alcoholics for a long time and are no longer alcoholics. I don't know. Maybe they've gone back.
I don't know anything about that. I know that people claim that. I just always worry. I always think about, well, what's their spiritual condition like? That's what I think about myself.
Yeah.
Without a drink.
point.
That's it.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, if you don't think you're an alcoholic, you probably shouldn't be in AA, I guess. You know,
Absolutely.
maybe after
This is a
while.
I
lifestyle
don't know why
choice.
you would want
Yeah.
to be.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make any
Absolutely.
sense to me.
It's really
But-
fun.
Absolutely.
It's really fun.
It's not that fun
Those are the.
unless you have a
We
deadly
are not
illness.
a glum
The-
lot.
I know, but I mean,
This was I'm going to say this. This wasn't our best top 10 list, but you know what? We got the job done tonight. We talked. It's after 9:00. Thanks. We want to thank again everybody for being here. Ashley,
thank
you're
you.
Thank you
awesome.
so much,
That
Paul.
flew by. We could have talked to you for a whole nother hour, probably
God.
just about
Thank you.
sobriety and your experience. It's been great. We hope you all will come back next week. We've got a great episode with a brand new guest. The meeting after the meeting.
Podcast.